Welcome back, movie lovers. I'm Josh.
I'm Chris.
And with our powers combined, we are Garner Brothers movie lovers. Before we get started, give the video a like. And now we'll get started. Today we're talking the Apple TV original film Spirited. Imagine Charles Dickens' heartwarming tale of Scrooge visited by four ghosts on Christmas Eve, but funnier, and with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds and Octavia Spencer. Also huge musical numbers.
The film is directed by Sean Anders. The score is by Dominic Lewis and was good. I really liked, there was at least one theme that I noticed. Knowing Dominic Lewis, there's probably multiple themes. I haven't listened to it away from the film yet, but I thought it was really good. I thought it was effective. The songs are by Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, the two guys behind the songs from The Greatest Showman. They also wrote the lyrics to the songs in La La Land, though they did not write the music for those songs. And the songs were fun. The musical numbers were fun. I thought that the choreography was really fun for a lot of the musical numbers.
Yeah, the choreography, the dancing is pretty spectacular.
Indeed.
My biggest worry going into this movie was that it was a Christmas movie starring Will Ferrell. And how
can
such
an amazing track record.
Can we ever make a Christmas movie with Will Ferrell again after he made the perfect Christmas movie? and I like Ryan Reynolds a lot too, and I just thought, this sounds amazing. And I think I need to lower my expectations a little bit for this movie because it has me very excited. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, this is just Scrooged again. And for about 20 minutes of the movie, it is just Scrooged again. But there's a bit of a twisty turn that this movie becomes its own thing, and it is way better than Scrooged. I was pretty happy with this movie by the time it was over.
It just kind of gets better as it goes.
It does.
It gets better and better and funnier and funnier. It is a very funny movie. I cannot remember the last time I laughed so many times during a movie.
Yeah, that's true.
I laughed a lot at this movie. And a lot of the jokes, they pay off many times. Like, over the whole runtime, too. Like, something's funny the first time it happens, and then it pays off again, like, later on. You'd already forgotten about this one, and then they bring it back. And then it pays off again. Like, there's a bunch of jokes like that just keep giving.
They don't really use the same joke over and over and over and over. There's one that they do a lot.
Good afternoon! Good afternoon! Good afternoon!
But it never got old for me.
No.
And like you said, they were funny the first time it happened, but what you were seeing was the setup for the actual punchline that came an hour later when you had forgotten about that moment, and it's
so funny.
Really funny.
It's so funny. And those hit faster and faster the longer the movie goes.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the movie, I feel like I was just laughing like the whole time. It was great.
It was.
It was great. And not only is it funny, like, I was moved by this film.
It is surprisingly powerful for a silly Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds movie.
With the tone of the movie being what it is, you don't expect it to pay off emotionally quite as much as it does. But there are multiple moments in the film that are pretty emotional. And the ending, like, it really got me. And the message of the film is great.
It is, for sure, the best Christmas movie we've had in a long time.
The singing is great.
The singing is great.
So Will Ferrell has actually sung in quite a few movies now, but he has a great voice.
He has an okay voice.
Well, Octavia Spencer sounded really good too.
Yes. I wanted to talk about the music a little bit. And when I say the music, I'm talking about the songs, not the score. So we talked about how it was written by the guys who did The Greatest Showman. I think the songs in Greatest Showman, there are several songs that are really great. I don't think The Greatest Showman is a good movie. I think it's a fine movie. And the songs themselves are good. The problem with the songs in Greatest Showman is they tell you the story, and then they show you the song that tells you the story again. There's no new storytelling happening in Greatest Showman when they show you the songs. It is just them telling you again. That doesn't happen in this movie. In this movie, the songs tell the story. And every great musical will follow that recipe. And I think they did it perfectly in this movie.
So here's my little gripe about these songwriters.
Okay.
I don't think, and this is like the world is going to disagree with me when I say this. I don't think they write really great songs. They're okay. Like I have problems with almost every song in The Greatest Showman. Like I can point to something that I think that's not great. How many times are we going to use the word crazy to rhyme with itself? I mean, like, you can't really keep doing that for a whole song. And anyway, so with this one, the movie's over. How many of those songs can you remember?
I really liked Good Afternoon. That is a memorable song.
That's one. I remember one other.
Okay.
And then there's like 7 other songs that neither of us can rememir a word or
I remember
note of.
really disliking the first musical number with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah?
That was weird.
It is that, no. That's a gross song. It made me feel icky.
But it is perfect. So the way that the modern Scrooge that they have here is like the person that everyone in the world hates the most. It's the person online who stirs up trouble, not just for fun. This is a person
professionally
being paid for it.
Yeah.
And when we hear of that, we think of like Russian troll farms and stuff. That's what Ryan Reynolds is in this movie. And that is, wow.
Yeah.
The worst kind of person.
Yeah. and his opening song shows just how awful he is.
Yeah.
It does so effectively.
It does.
And it does have fun choreography. So yeah, the Good Afternoon song is a highlight, for sure. I liked the Unredeemable song.
Unredeemable was
like that was
wonderful.
Actually really emotionally
me too.
Meaningful for me.
Yeah, and I also think that the View song from Octavia Spencer was pretty memorable as well.
Okay.
I really liked it when she sang that. It came back 3 different times for her. So it was like a theme for her, but it was in the songs. I think the finale song was pretty great too, but I can't remember what it was called.
Me neither. And I can't remember any of the words.
But
the dancing was fun.
No,
I
do remember
like the gist of it.
I
don't
remember them singing about how
tune
2 steps back, or 2 that's the wrong way. 2 steps forward, 1 steps back, and how the song is about what he said to him before. Change doesn't happen overnight, and that it takes little decisions every day, and you're not perfect, and you're going to make mistakes, but that doesn't mean you're not changing. You just keep on trying to make those little changes. And I thought that song was also really great.
Yeah, the message is great. I don't remember the tune or any of the words. But the message is good, and it's the message of the film, and it answers the question of the film, which is, can people really change? And obviously, I mean, it's a little on the nose at the beginning of the film, but I thought the way they handled it at the end was actually more nuanced than that seems like it's going to be when you set it up. And that's like the obvious question to ask when you're doing a Christmas Carol story. But I thought that this movie actually kind of plumbed those depths in an interesting way. One caveat. I think they could have had a bona fide Christmas classic on their hands if it had been a little less profane. And if it had been released in theaters only and was not a streaming original.
Yeah.
Because when you look at Elf, the other classic Will Ferrell Christmas movie, that is a family film that the smallest child can watch and enjoy, and the oldest adult can watch and enjoy. This movie is for an older crowd than Elf. And
it is PG-13,
yeah.
And it's not worse than PG-13. It's right on for PG-13.
It's a PG-13.
But that is not quite what I want my family-friendly Christmas movies to be.
Yeah. This might end up being like a National Lampoon's Christmas movie, kind of a like...
It's way better than that.
Oh, yeah, but I'm saying it's for that crowd, right? Like, this is not the one that you sit down with your little kids and watch for Christmas, right?
However, I do also think that all of the adult humor in this movie is vague enough that if a kid did sit down and watch this, it'd go right over their heads.
Except for the straight-up cussing, you're right.
You're right. Except for the straight-up cussing.
There's a little bit of that. Obviously, older groups aren't going to be as bothered by that, but I just, like, I mean, when we were there, your wife was saying, I hope this is one for the kids. And we watched it and thought,
Probably.
Our kids are a little young for all that language, but... so, if I could have had my cake and ate it too, I would have loved for it to be a little less profane and a little less vulgar and just... I think it could have been a total classic if that had been the case. But where it's an Apple original too, I just don't think that's ever going to happen. Like,
when I first got on to buy tickets for this movie, it was playing in one theater that was like pretty far away from us. And then we got on a couple days later, and it was actually playing in like 3 other theaters.
Yeah.
Much closer. Hopefully what's happening is people are wanting to see this, and maybe it will continue to be in theaters for longer than Apple expected. And I think you're right. This should be in the movies.
Well, look at what happened with The Greatest Showman. That movie was a massive hit. Not at first, but it grew into one. This could have followed the same trajectory if it were only released theatrically. But we don't live in that world anymore. I mean, this was an Apple production.
This right now on Apple TV, if you have Apple TV. But it would be better to see this one in theaters.
The dance numbers actually kind of beg to be seen on a big screen.
They're
really
spectacular.
Well done.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
When he's singing the Unredeemable song and they all have the flashlights on their wrists and they're all like doing the lighting and the dancing at the same time for the song. So cool.
That was pretty creative.
And my gosh, everyone is going in 100%. And they are a blast to watch. It is super fun. I do have to call out, what's that guy's name? Page? I want to say Patrick.
Patrick Page.
It is Patrick Page.
Patrick Page.
There's a character in this movie that I have not seen in films elsewhere that is awesome. He's the guy who plays Jacob Marley, and the dude's voice is super epic.
Serious voice.
He has the most awesome voice, and when he's talking, it's already like when he says like phrases. There's this phrase at the end of the movie where he talks about how our sacrifices are worthless if there are no consequences. And when he delivers that line, I was like, oh, he can say words. And then there's a moment where he sings too, and I was like, he's got an interesting singing voice too.
Yeah.
So I liked that guy a lot, and he was not on my radar at all, but Patrick Page kind of won me over a little bit in this movie. I think it's time to rate this movie.
I think so.
It's time for
Good. Fine. Good. Bad. Ugh.
Fine.
That's bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's bad.
Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
What did you think?
I think it's good.
You think it's good?
Yeah. It might be a little better than good.
I think so too. I don't think it's good, great, fantastic fireworks, but I think it's super close. So I'm going to say this movie is wonderful. I do have one spoilery thing I want to talk about that I loved a lot. So first of all, spoiler warning. I wasn't really sure how I felt about the movie until the moment when Ryan Reynolds escapes and he finds himself in Will Ferrell's office, and he discovers that he's labeled unredeemable. And then Will Ferrell goes into a door in his office, and then they both go in, and it's revealed that Will Ferrell is Ebenezer Scrooge, and that he was the only other person who was labeled unredeemable. And the movie becomes, I think, significantly better from that point on to the rest of the film. Everything before that for me was okay. The way that they were able to tie those two characters together with that twist was awesome. And I really liked it. Give the video a like if you forgot to earlier when I remembered to remind you.
And you could be our 73rd subscriber.
Yeah, baby. Anyway, go out, see this movie. If you can see this movie in theaters,
it's worth it.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Go find this in theaters, and do it quick because it's not going to be there for long. And after that, you'll have to buy Apple TV. So, yeah, good afternoon. guess we're done. However, the white powder present has already been sent out to subscriber 72.
Which is Isaac.
Anyway. Well, it's nice to see that our subscribers are still limited to people who
Our
know
immediate
us
family.
immediately.